I think most people in life, one of their biggest issues is that they don't execute, right? And I want to talk about that because a lot of us have ideas and we just fail to make those ideas a reality. Just talk about it every time. And it's like, while you're talking about your idea, some other person's already started it.
Right.
And I want to talk about that because a lot of people get stuck, or they say, I was having a conversation with a guy the other day. He's super smart and bright, and he was saying, man, I don't think this business shit is for me because I should have gotten an MBA. I'm not ready yet. I need to get that education. I'm not ready yet. I need to study that book or listen to this podcast or be that ready. I'm going to say something from someone who has done this over and over again and started businesses in industries I have no clue about. You'll never know enough. You'll never know enough. And the difference between the people who make it and who don't make it, who are in that other world that we refer to, the only difference is that those people did it and some people don't. And that's the only difference. You have to do it.
And it sounds better just to talk about it too. Talking about it is much easier than doing about it, because me and a friend of mine, we talk a lot about ideas, and there are certain things that we just we can go on and on and on and brainstorm, and it sounds really grand in theory, but if we actually there was no action. So it's much easier to talk about something and to glorify it than it is to actually do it.
Right.
So
I'll say this, the mantra that I always have is it's okay to have average skill if you have excellent execution. Average skill, excellent execution will beat someone with excellent skill every single day. There's people in this town who have great ideas. They know their shit. They can code shit. They're smart. They're bright. I mean, I know guys, they have these cool ideas, man. They know how this and that. Every time they have a new idea. But the truth is that until you actually do the idea, you're not worth anything. So you have a concept. Well, you and I started this idea of all right, we're going to start a podcast together. We got dinner at a mall. Said, all right, we're going to do the podcast together. The next, 3 days later, you're in my apartment, we're recording our first podcast. It was kind of the first time we're getting the foray doing this together. We didn't know everything about it. We're still figuring out. I'm like, how do we do this? How do we use this camera? How do we do the setting?
Right.
You figure it out on the go, right? And I always give this example. The other few weeks ago, I drove from Boston to New York. So it's a few miles, not too close by. So it's 3.5 hours. I drove at night. And with my headlights of my car, I could only see a few feet in front of me.
Right.
But I made it from my house to New York, 3.5 hour drive, with only seeing a few feet ahead of me. I couldn't see what's in the other side of the road. I could only see a few feet ahead of me where the light was.
I like where this is going.
But I still made it to New York. So all I'm trying to tell people is that when you start something, you don't have to know everything about how everything works, how X works, how Y. If you just know a little bit ahead of time, you're going to be fine. And that's going to be, I'm not just saying this because I read this shit somewhere. I live this every single time. I start projects. Dude, I did real estate stuff and I don't know. I have no idea. I remember sitting, I was like, Brady, how are you going to finish? It's I have no idea how I'll finish it. But you know what? Let's just go for it. And I'm confident that I'll know how to get there. I'll learn it, along the road. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't plan properly. You shouldn't do everything you can to execute and think about it and put everything, all the eggs in the basket. But the problem is a lot of people have paralysis by analysis, where they analyze so much I need to read that book. I will start once I have this. It's never ever in life going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to know enough.
What is something you mentioned earlier was not mental paralysis, but the fear of doing or something like that?
Yeah.
What is
right? And so I always talk about this concept is that when I talk to a lot of people who have phenomenal ideas, and they're at the cusp where they're going to take an idea and they're going to build a big business, and they're right at that cusp. They're raising the little bit extra round that they need, or getting an extra mentorship support. And what I see with a lot of people is that it's not that they can't succeed, that they don't have the tools of not succeeding. They are actually afraid of succeeding, because success comes with a lot of responsibility, and it is easier to rest on the laurels of pain, of sacrifice, of hardship, of scarcity, because more people can relate to you in your life. When I was broke and didn't have anything, I was just a regular college student, just like everyone else. There's, how many people could relate to me? Everyone.
Sure. Yeah.
How many people can relate to you once you're part of some other thing, or you've made it to the next level? Not many people. You don't have a big group. It's just you. You're alone, right?
Sure. Yep.
We're downstairs, right, you're the only person in this age group. Yeah, because there is no one, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm telling this is because it is scary doing something by yourself. and you get a lot of responsibility that comes with it. It's easier to say, hey, I'm working on a startup. Oh, I'm working on a project. Oh, I'm a struggling person. I'll get there one day. It's easier to talk about it. But once you actually have like, all right, I tell people all the time, I was like, all right, man, you have this idea? Here you go. I will write you a check right now. Let's go. Let's do it. And you should see their faces. They get scared. They're like, no, actually, don't know. I was like, dude, you came here to raise funds. You came to my home and they thought they would never work. They're like, okay, Party will probably do it later, or like, no. I said, here you go. And I carry a checkbook in my bag, and I write checks. I'm like, here you go. Here's your check. Let's go. I want to see it. Probably want to see it next week. And they get scared. They're like, oh no, I don't think I'm ready. And I was like, bro, why are you here then?
Right.
And when I polarize people like that, I realized they never wanted to do it in the first place. So don't, because you're wasting my time, you're wasting your parents' time, your family's time, your friends' time. You see people posting about it on Facebook all the time. Oh, one day I'll make it big. I was like, if you never wanted to do it any day, why didn't you just go and post shit about it? You didn't want to do it.
And don't kid yourself. That's one thing I've learned. Is like, you can kid, like, I'll kid you, I'll kid with the reality, I'll kid the marketplace, but don't kid yourself. Kidding yourself is the worst, and I've been there as well. I've been that guy who's posted something before, and only to find out a few weeks later that I didn't do it, and I look back, I'm like, wow, I felt stupid myself because I post something and people were like, okay, where's it at?
Right.
And it was nothing. I just had nothing to show.
Right.
So don't kid yourself. That's the main thing I'll tell you.
The only way you get somewhere in life is about executing over and over and over and over again. Every single day I execute on something. I said I have a goal and I'm going to execute on it. I'm going to execute on it. It doesn't matter what happens. I can have 50 tabs open and this person calls me, this person, fuck that shit. I'm going to execute. And I think that's the difference between people who make it and who don't, is that people who make it, they started. You didn't start. So many people have ideas when I've grown up with them. They didn't do it. I did it. I'm not the smartest person. Absolutely not. And I don't have all the grades. I don't even know how to fucking use this camera. But I will make a multi-million-dollar company by using a video camera, but I don't know how to use one. Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Isn't that crazy? I don't know how to use that shit. I don't know how the most technology shit works, but I'm here sitting making a podcast with you, and we're gonna make a business doing this shit. Although I don't know how to use this technology, but there's people out there who know how to use the tech, who are great. They can tell you every single model of this thing. They can tell you every single code, but they're not writing any single app that's gonna make it $1 billion. Other people are starting to do who have no idea how this tech even works, and that's the difference between people who make it and don't. And this brings me to another topic, is that you have to learn in life to be brutally honest with yourself. And a lot of people are afraid to confront reality that they're not good at something. So what they would rather do is cover it up and not talk about it.
Right.
How many of us do it? We're like, we know something, we just don't want to talk about it.
Right.
I gotta pay my tax, I'll just do it later. They just don't want to do it. And the problem is when you keep putting your shit away, there will come a time in your life where you're really gonna fail. You and I were talking about this earlier, but when I was, for instance, in school, a lot of people, for instance, in law school, it was very complicated. I didn't understand most of the shit was going on. So I would always raise my hand. I'm like, what does that mean? What does this mean? I would go to extra help. I was like this annoying kid everyone hates. I hated myself too at times. I'm like, oh my God, I got to ask another question. Yeah. And people used to make fun of me all the time but I was like, I would rather fail in the classroom. I would rather fail in front of my friends. I would rather fail in front of my parents than actually fail in real life. And that's the problem with most people. They don't want to admit that they don't know something. So they would never raise their hand in class because like, well, I'm not going to be awkward about it. But when they actually have to execute in real life, they don't know shit. And then they're going to fail.
One thing Freddie mentioned a while ago was a term that I've started to use and started to spread around: mental masturbation.
Right.
Don't stop masturbating. Stop jerking off mentally. I mean,
right. Well, that's what most people are doing, right? They watch like video after video, they podcasts and seminars, and those things are fantastic. They're definitely a tool in the arsenal, but they're just that. They're a tool. If I tell you, hey, here's going to be a great warrior, here's all the tools and the arsenals you're going to use, you're not a great warrior. You have to use the tools. Yeah. And people have the tools, and they think by having the tools, you have done self-development. You have the tools now. If you say, okay, here you go, here you got it at Harvard, now here are the books. You're not a graduate from Harvard. You still need to go to class and study. Having the books is not enough, and you need to do shit with it, right?
Right.
And that's what I always say is like, and this is something that some other inspirational speakers, Eric Thomas, for instance, has said a lot, but he says, average skill, phenomenal will.